Welcome, everybody, to a very special podcast. I have been so looking forward to this. I can't even tell you. I am Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com, bringing back, dusting it off the shelf, the State of WWE podcast tonight. Last time we did this was 2019, right before WrestleMania 35 in East Rutherford, as part of our WrestleMania week coverage. And me and CJ Bowman have been wanting to do this for quite some time, and it just never matched up. I was having a baby last summer, so we never got to do it around SummerSlam. Baby again was born, Survivor Series around that time, never matched up. And you know what? It's like you talk about it enough, you just gotta do it. And here we are. I am so excited about this. This is one of my crown jewels this week of our SummerSlam coverage. And I hope you enjoy our conversation tonight. Other stuff that we got coming up this week, I really hope you enjoy it all. Tomorrow night, so I've been talking all week. I did post-Raw. I did an interview with the Coach and Crew podcast, and I also did last night Wrestleview News with Jerome. I'm going to be talking with CJ tonight, and then I got to give my voice a rest. Doug will be taking over the lion's share of the broadcasting for the next 2 days. Wrestleview Weekly tomorrow night. I know he's definitely covering SummerSlam, and I'm kind of putting his feet to the fire and making him do more shots and really putting the smackdown on his liver by asking him to also do NXT TakeOver predictions. And I'm sure he was already planning on doing that, but I'm calling him out. Damn it, Doug, you got to do the NXT TakeOver predictions. He'll be doing a live watch-along as well on Saturday. So if you were watching that show and you want to watch with a drunk silly man, you can definitely do that. And Sunday, of course, we have Wrestleview Live. Post-Raw come back on Monday night. Again, Doug will be on Friday next week because WWE sandwiched 2 pay-per-views back-to-back, so back-to-back Sundays. So there's a lot going on, and at some point I'm going to need to take a wrestling vacation. But not tonight. Not tonight. Tonight, we are talking not just the state of WWE, we're talking the state of pro wrestling in general. We're going to be talking WWE and AEW. There wasn't an AEW last time we did this damn show. Well, there kind of was, but they had never had it. They didn't have a show yet. So I am looking forward to this, and I'd like to introduce my broadcast partner tonight, Mr. Clinton CJ Bowman. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing real good. I'm kind of happy to be here in front of you guys. Like, I haven't been on Wrestleview for a good, let's say, I think it's been a year and 5 months.
Yeah. Is this been that long? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, year and 5 months. That was since March. So March of
That's
2019.
Right. Yeah.
Here's the thing. You had Lydiana. I was working on getting my bachelor's degree finally and stuff like that. Now I'm going for my master's straight through. It's like
awesome.
We all have life to get and I actually did take a good sizable break from professional wrestling around that time. I mean, it got to the point where I actually almost took the entire year off. And kind of like still ended up taking another break going into this WrestleMania as well. So it was like getting back into watching the wrestling stuff and just getting back into everything, it gives me an opportunity to really express some of the things that I've seen. Because, you don't get away from wrestling when you're on Twitter and stuff like that.
No. If anything, you get more wrestling than you could ever possibly want on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right.
And not all of it is good. I guess we could say that.
That's a good segue, though.
Yeah, let's do it, CJ. You're leading the show tonight, man. It's nice to just be able to plug in and have the conversation. I know you can handle this. Former host of the Velvet Room on the VIP network from eons ago. Yeah. So this man's got some experience.
I've matured significantly since then.
So have I.
So the first thing I would like to talk about, right? Biggest topic of right now, 100%. Patrick Clark, Velveteen Dream. We know what's going on. There's a lot of opinions about that.
Sure.
I woke up this morning. By the way, speaking of NXT, NXT talent. Sidebar: Pat McAfee's a fucking amazing promo. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
My God, yes.
Ooh, he is a. I'm not going to sit down there and be blasphemous and say, yo, this dude is an Xavier Woods or John Cena or these guys on the mic or Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe. Give this man some peppering, he'll be up there.
Yes, absolutely. And we don't want him to be the next this and that. This guy has a great personality on his own, and the genius of this whole entire thing is like they're not even going in with like, oh, Adam Cole, you're going to be the heel, and Pat McAfee, well, you were the sports star, so that automatically makes you a face. That never works. It worked for Ronda Rousey for a little bit, and then they started booing her just because she's the outsider, right? They're going full force, knowing like, okay, he's the outsider. They're going to hate him. Let's make him. Let's get him as hated as possible. And he's doing. I mean, that promo was money. If you weren't subscribed to the network to watch Takeover, you're going to subscribe.
I'm telling you right now, they gave Ronda Rousey the John Cena treatment like real quick, because here's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Ronda was doing really good as a face. Like everybody was cheering her and stuff like that. As soon as she won the title, literally John Cena reaction just started hitting, and it was just like, I mean, yeah, John Cena started it. I mean, literally, like if it wasn't for Triple H and it wasn't for John Cena, I'm telling you, like a lot of this reaction really wouldn't start. But going back into NXT, focusing there, right? I woke up this morning getting ready for work, and I go on Twitter just, because I know, like, I'm a big retro gaming nerd and stuff like that. So, I'm always on Twitter talking with some of the people. I see Fire Velveteen Dream trending. I'm like, what the hell? So I go and check it out. Now, I know the whole story, and Triple H did definitely say that they found nothing.
Yes.
I want people to understand, if they said they found nothing, this is a company, a publicly traded company. They would have to do their due diligence. I'm not sitting here giving them the benefit of the doubt if it comes out that they messed up and they didn't do their due diligence. But looking at the screenshots that everybody on Twitter was sharing, I think we need to drop this conversation right now. They say they ain't find nothing, leave them alone.
I agree with that as well. Now, Patrick Clark did scrub his entire Twitter page. There's not one single comment and nothing. Like, he deleted the entire board, just totally whitewashed his entire Twitter page, which all innocent people do, of course. Now I'm only kidding, of course, but
I mean, I've done it too. I mean, because I'm working as a teacher. You know what I mean? Like,
believe me,
you just don't want kids to find out.
When I got hired in 2017, I went and just did a solid look through of key terms on my Twitter page. And I am embarrassed at some of the stuff I said. I never said anything like those people that are getting killed for saying like overtly racist or homophobic. I never ever did that. Never.
Oh, no,
because that's not who I am.
Sorry.
What you see is what you get most of the times with me. But just the cussing and the maybe on the edge remarks, I was like, okay, gotta go.
I mean, listen, I'm not ashamed to say I dropped the N-word, excuse my language. I'm like, yo, nigga this, nigga that. But at the same time, it's like, I recognize that and I own up to it. And I even tell my guys, I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? The hell with that. Like, I don't claim to be perfect. I just say, listen, I've grown from that.
Nobody is.
That is me how many years ago? Dude, let me tell y'all the story. Now, some of y'all might know this because I've actually regaled it to a few people. I got fired from doing Wrestleview Radio just because I was like, I was young, immature, and I said something stupid. And you know what? Me and Adam had a conversation, and it hit me almost immediately. I sat there and I talked, and I was kind of happy about it. I still support it. I'm kind of glad that last year, while Adam was still editor-in-chief, he actually gave you permission to have me on Wrestleview Media, YouTube, and things like that. And now seeing you as the editor-in-chief, a.k.a. as I like to call you, Adam Martin 2.0.
With hair. Yeah.
With hair. With hair. There is that kind of deal where it's like, okay, I'm getting this opportunity again. And I think this is over 10 years at this point. So nearly 10 years at this point. So I'm just taking it in stride. I'm having fun with it. And I'm looking at it. And this is the same thing with Patrick Clark. I'm going to use his real name because it's out there anyway. The thing is, 6 years ago, this was 6 years ago. Now, granted, he did address it. It may not have been to what people wanted, but it was addressed. So
I agree.
At this point, it's either you drop it, or, in my view, you look like a damn scrub trying to get somebody canceled for no damn reason.
Yes, and I feel the same way as you do. It's like just leave well enough alone. They said they did it. As a company that's publicly traded, worth, over $1 billion. Like they're not going to mess around with this. And for what? For a single character on a show that's doing, X amount of viewers. It's really not. It's
inconsequential in the grand scheme of things.
His return isn't going to move the needle, and his absence isn't going to move the needle. Okay, like they're not going to give up everything just to keep this guy, just to prove a point. The one thing that is a little questionable now, I believe, because this came out in April about that one accusation and the picture and all that.
Same accusation.
Yeah, essentially it is, and almost using the exact same verbiage from those messages to that young girl in this young man's tweets as well. And it's like, well, either he has it like copy pasted and he's like a creep guy that's messaging more kids than we know, or it's like, was there a little oops, like the Matt Riddle thing, where it's like, you can kind of forge some stuff. I don't know. There have been accusations against Patrick Clark, and some of those accusers from earlier in the year. Yep. Once people started reaching out to them, tell us your story. What do you know?
Started walking back.
Accounts deleted, disappear off the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. This young man that made the accusation has stuck around, has been very forthright in talking with people. And according to him, WWE never reached out to ask him, or interview him. And I guess I can see where that hashtag comes from, because it appears like they didn't do their due diligence. I'm certainly not indicting the company and saying that they didn't. But can you have a true investigation without talking to the accuser?
You can't. I mean, you technically can if there's enough evidence out there to justify it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thing about it is like, a lot of it, again, the first one was BS. There was a couple more that was BS. Now, here's the thing. It's the same thing with the Matt Riddle situation. And a lot of people, there would be some people that might look at it and say, oh, you a black man, you support your fellow black man, blah, 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 given the political climate that we're in right now. No, listen, I said the same thing about Matt Riddle, and if something happened to somebody like a Ronda Rousey, a Naomi, a Asuka, Kyrie, whoever it is, like, it could happen to Brandy Runnels. It can happen to Brandy, or it could happen to, like, Leva Bates. And I could be like, and if it's the same premise, the same situation, I'm sitting here like, yo, leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah, the level of stardom should have no basis in any of the opinions. And
right,
for some people, especially now in our culture of pure outrage and our culture of, wanting to, get even with people or feel important, some people will, make this their thing, and they want to impact they want to have some change. There's a lot of things that happen in this society. There's a lot of different workings and going around all this stuff. So
yeah.
You know how it is, but I am glad that we touched on this, and especially, that hashtag was trending today. People have to accept, sometimes results, even if it's not the result that you want. We as a society have to just learn to kind of accept things and move on sometimes, because we have issues with that.
No, I agree with that 100%. And I think that I feel like the more we can do that, the better we will be as a people when it comes to dealing this type of stuff. But we've spent a good 15 minutes on this.
Oh yeah.
And this was not even topic of discussion, but I think it's time we move on. But like, honorable mention, I like Raw Underground. I don't care what nobody says. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I started really enjoying it, but one of the first things I wanted to kind of talk about.
Yeah.
Is let's talk about greatest of all time. GOAT talk. Let's talk about the greatest of all time. Jamel.
GOAT talk. All right, let's do it.
Jamel. Shouts out to Jamel. He gave us a discussion piece a couple weeks ago about who he thinks would be considered the greatest of all time. He had some criteria on it. Now, if I remember the criteria properly, I know one of it definitely included in-ring work, promo, being a draw. There was two more, but I don't exactly remember it. I wish I had it in front of me, but I should have. I should have been prepared, but I wasn't. I'll openly admit that.
It was a good conversation. I know that.
It was definitely a good conversation. Now, I've said, like, a lot of people said the obvious people: Hulk Hogan, The Rock, John Cena, right? Steve Austin.
Sure.
Which Steve Austin is still considered arguably the biggest star in professional wrestling. I would disagree in terms of longevity and time and money made, because John Cena would take that spot now.
I would say so, but I wonder if we adjust for inflation in some cases too.
It'll still be Cena for the amount of time he's been in the company. Like Steve Austin was at the top of the company only for 3 years.
That's true. He was only in for 3 years, and John Cena was there for 13 full time. Yeah.
Yeah, 13
at
full time years.
At the top. Mm-hmm. Not from. I wouldn't count 2002. I wouldn't count anything before 2005 WrestleMania 21.
I'd actually count from WrestleMania 20.
Really?
He was
over.
Hot.
I was there at WrestleMania 20. Yeah.
Yeah, he was molten hot that entire year.
Yeah.
Like, he could do no wrong in 2004. Even the Booker T storyline, which was like, the best one of his year. Cena from about 2004. So I would say about 14 years he was on top.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So
they were grooming him at least in 2004 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He was being groomed.
Cena's merch was moving. Cena's merch still moves, and it's just like, that's just how it is, right?
It's true. That is very true.
So I made one additional name.
All right.
Ronda Rousey. And I got laughed at for it. But
make a case.
There's a case based on the criteria. Ronda was a draw. Ronda was probably the biggest draw in that company. Becky Lynch couldn't even touch her in terms of the way she drew, the attention she brought. I mean, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. They had NBA insider Ramona Shelburne at the Royal Rumble when Ronda made her debut.
I was there for that too.
Ramona Shelburne. I mean, that same week, Ronda and Triple H did the ESPN circuit. Ronda was like anytime Ronda was doing a major appearance, some way, somehow, she would be talked about on ESPN, and so on and so forth. Like Ronda's attention, Ronda's attention was there.
Okay. Well, I can actually give some statistics as well about Ronda Rousey and her value to World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yep.
In her very, very brief 1-year tenure with the company. Mm-hmm. In fair, I guess you could say it's maybe about 15 months she was there, because she debuted at the Rumble.
And she's still on contract.
She's still on contract too. I don't know if the contract's still running, if she's still getting a paycheck, or if it's frozen because she wanted to take some time off, or what the deal is.
I think she's gonna owe time.
Okay, cool. They used her in those contract negotiations. They sent her to all of like when they were gonna try for an Emmy in 2018. Ronda Rousey was at those mixers. She was the focal point, and I believe the driving force in getting Fox and getting the NBC Universal to up their deals, or in Fox's case, settle on a deal. Ronda Rousey to that company, in a very strong sense, is worth about $1.75 billion.
Oh, yes.
She brought that in for them. And that's, in 1 year, that's way more than John Cena probably ever brought in.
That's true.
In terms of just one lump sum there.
I mean, the closest thing you can say about John Cena is that he's a multi-platinum rapper right now. You can say that, right? And I'm a big everybody knows me. I'm a big John Cena fan. Huge John Cena fan. I've always been. It was just more so that, you put Ronda in that conversation. Her promo skills, when she figured out how to slow down, she was really good at it. Once she got in the ring and figured out how to slow down, she was good. I mean, and this is 6 months of training that all she had was 6 months of in-ring training. And she was pretty much on par and better than most of the talent. I think the only talent that I say Ronda Rousey was not better than, wholeheartedly, I'd have to say Charlotte, Alexa, and any of the Japanese ladies.
Sure. Sure. I can go for that. Ronda was incredible. And I actually got to go see her in a lot of big matches live, and just sitting in the seats and feeling that electricity of her as a performer. It felt like at certain times, probably like the height of anybody, like John Cena or Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
You can make those comparisons. People were very, very into Ronda Rousey and what she was doing. I mean, look at Evolution.
Yeah, you were there.
It's like everybody made the thing, oh, they should have went with Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch as the main event. But you know what?
Nobody would have gave a shit.
At the end of the night, Becky Lynch was still a heel at the time, and they wanted to go with their most over face and the person who definitely brings in the most mainstream attention. And that would be Ronda Rousey, the queen of UFC,
Hall of Famer,
a Hall of Famer in UFC, made a Hall of Famer while she was in WWE as well. Really a household name, Ronda Rousey. I mean, like, God, I remember when me and Victoria were getting married in 2015, she had a fight right after we got married, and like it was an uncomfortable conversation. We'd be on our honeymoon, like, we got to go see the fights. We got to go see. And she knocked out this girl. I forget where they were. I think they were in New Zealand or Australia or somewhere. She knocked out this girl and like didn't even go around. She was just, everybody knew her. Everybody was following her.
I'm thinking, I don't know if it was Paige Van Zandt or somebody, but I think I know which fight you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was like some late July 2015.
Yeah.
There was something going on with Ronda, and like we made a point. I remember even like being in the band the night she got knocked out by Holly Holm.
Yes.
We were playing at a sports bar, and I was like, who the hell booked us at a sports bar on a Ronda Rousey fight night? But they're like, you can't go on until after Ronda's fight. And was like, we played a set at 1 a.m, but we got full paid, so I'm not going to complain about that either.
Yeah.
But you have this queen of sports in a sense, household name going against this person, Nikki Bella, who at the time was like one of the biggest reality stars,
the biggest diva in the company.
Easy. And for that reason, this is gonna be.
That's right. That was the cupcake fight. That was Misha Tate.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. For that reason, I'm gonna make a very unpopular statement right now, and I have to not just Nikki, but Brie Bella have to be talked about in GOAT talks.
I mean, the Bella twins. The Bella twins are one and the same. I mean, you have to put it in that conversation. I mean, they brought so much mainstream attention to the WWE once they got into this company, and they came.
Oh, yeah.
Once they took their break, they did the managerial stuff, and they started going back in the ring. Nikki got injured, started working with Cena, Brian, and Brie. All four of them started working together on their craft and everything like that. I will say 100% like this. The Bella twins are definitely GOAT talk worthy conversations. They are technically, I would say, they are more important in WWE women's conversation than Trish and Lita ever will be.
I agree, because Trish and Lita, yes, they changed, pro wrestling for at least just for their matches. It wasn't like they changed the entire culture or landscape, and who knows, a lot of this was driven by social media too. Let's not forget Give Divas a Chance. That changed the entire narrative. But Trish and Lita, without the advent of social media and stuff like that, never really, it was like they would wrestle each other and be great matches, and then maybe Trish and Mickie James, but then you still had Melina and Alicia Fox, and these people that couldn't hang with them going.
Well, keep in mind.
They also had Victoria too, who was great.
Let's take a look at some of the talents at the time when Trish and Lita were coming up. Then you had Nora Greenwald, Molly Holly. You had, Gail Kim, who thinks her shit don't stink, and she's still terrible. You had Jazz, you had Jackie, you had Jacqueline. You had, and then going into the later stages, you had Mickey coming up. You had Beth and Natty. Natty's a good professional wrestler, but she cannot put a story together. That's the problem.
That's exactly why I would argue that she's not a good professional wrestler.
Right. No, okay. She can do shit in the ring. It's kind of like talking about the Young Bucks. They can do shit in the ring, but can they tell the story? No.
Is there like a story that, or is it just like look, I like gymnastics and I love it every 4 years and the Olympics comes around, except for this coming year, of course, because fuck COVID.
Yeah, you're right.
Like I love watching them do the flips and trying to stick that landing in the corner and all that stuff. I get into that every 4 years, but I don't know if I could watch that every Wednesday night.
But that's what I'm saying, and that's the argument that I'm making. It's like Natalya knows how to do
Natalya knows how to do stuff. But there was a great. I'm going back a little while now. Yeah. Rey Mysterio's book that came out, of course, written by somebody else. But
nice.
Mysterio talked about some of the things that you have to do as a high flying professional wrestler.
Right.
And you have to, and he talks about, how you have to have a good base. You have to have somebody that can work with you and has the ability to, do these moves with you, cooperate with you, has the strength and the capabilities of doing that. And Natalya, for the longest time, and Rey Mysterio was talking about that in terms of like how he kind of makes his matches so successful. Why can he work with so many people? Why can he have a good match with the Big Show and a good match with Juventud Guerrera or Psychosis? Like why is there no drop off in quality? Because of how he approaches his matches in a way working to his opponent's ability or his Natalya was really for I would say for the first 10 years from 2007 when she debuted to 2017, really, for the most part was working with women that were subpar. Kelly.
She came in from Shine. She came in from Shimmer, dude, working with Beth Phoenix and some of those other talents.
Right.
And Kana and all of them. You want to sit down there and tell me you can't scale to your opponents? Why do you think John Cena was so successful? Why do you think Trish and Mickey and these characters were so successful?
Right, because they could work down. I mean, like look at Trish Stratus and Christy Hemme. Not a great match, but a triumph compared to Christy Hemme's skills on a WrestleMania card. Natalya was just never able to do it. She really just wanted to show like, oh, I can do all this technical stuff, and then it's like you're fumbling and bumbling through a match because you know how to do it, but the person you're working with doesn't know how to take it.
Right.
And it makes everybody look bad.
So
and you need to be the leader and work down, not try to force them to work up.
Right. So going back to the original conversation, right? Let's take a look at going back to Ronda Rousey. She carried Nia Jax to a damn good match. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. And everybody who still shits on Nia Jax for good reason. In a lot of cases, but let's call a spade a spade.
Oh yeah.
Ronda carried Nia to a good match. Ronda carried Alexa to a great match. Ronda carried a lot of people, and she wasn't supposed to be carrying matches.
No, but that's a testament to how quick she learned. She okay. How about this for a comparison? Ronda Rousey is the female Kurt Angle.
Oh my God, yes.
Right.
That is the most apt ever. Like Mike fucking genius. Like she is Kurt Angle.
Yeah, that's exactly who it is. Because I mean in all my years of watching and I just put out a retro recap today of with Kurt Angle at the forefront of it. He wrestled He Who Shall Not Be Named at WrestleMania 17, and it's like this guy was only wrestling at that point for
Steven Richards.
Yeah, that's it. He was only wrestling at that point. He had debuted in November 1999, and this is April 2001. He had barely a year and a half in the company, and no one had ever seen, up to that point, a wrestling match start off with amateur wrestling. And it was just a clinic. It was like something different, and it's like, okay, they were having a match where the finish was, you're gonna roll them up with a handful of tights, and that's fucking it. There's gonna be a ref bump too, and it's like, well, anybody could just take that. All right, we're just gonna go out there and just have a match. But they're like, no, let's make this fucking memorable.
Oh
and and Kurt Angle went out there and drove that match. I would say, giving.
Sorry, go ahead.
Giving Benoit the openings to, he was smart enough. Obviously, Kurt Angle could, in terms of amateur wrestling, if Chris Benoit really wanted to throw down, Kurt Angle would have mopped the floor with him. But Angle was smart enough and so professional and so poised to allow openings for Benoit to, hook him here and get him here, and just genius. The guy I've never seen somebody in all my time watching professional wrestling take to the product, get the product. There was even a video package on that WrestleMania where they go to an army base and he got booed, and he goes, and then they did an interview with him. He goes, I'm an American hero and I just don't know why they boo me. Like I'm just as much a hero as they are. And it's just like he got his character, and I'd never seen anybody, take to the industry and the product as well as Kurt Angle until Ronda Rousey came along.
And you know what? You can even, again, like I said, you can even argue there's a lot of talents in between that time that still kind of did it. Kurt Angle's first 3 matches always stand up in my mind with Kurt Angle. His first match against Shawn Stasiak.
Mm-hmm.
His second that match with Steven Richards, and John Cena's debut match.
Yeah, he put Cena on the map.
Like, do you understand how good Cena was from June 23rd, 2002 up until October, and he still was on the chopping block to be fired? He had a fucking amazing match with Jericho. What?
At Vengeance, I remember that.
Like with Jericho?
Yeah.
And he's throwing down, like then they started putting him in tag matches with Matt Hardy and stuff, and it was just like, yeah, like.
Well, that was the creative doing him dirty on that one.
Yeah, because, again, Cena admitted, I think it was Stephanie that came up to him and said he was about to be fired. And they got to find that something else. So he just took the hip hop gimmick at the Halloween thing and just ran with it, and it worked, which made sense because again, I think Cena said this. He said this on many different interviews. I think he also said it with Chris Van Vliet. This is a guy that took a hip hop gimmick, right? Just a white guy rapping and stuff like that, ran with it. And it was not, he said this on the Corey Graves podcast. He said this on that After the Bell.
There you go. After the Bell. Yep.
After the Bell, right before the pandemic hit.
I was gonna say Chris Van Vliet. What a get on that.
Oh no, he got a John. No, he did. John Cena did an interview when it was last in New York.
Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
So I saw that interview too. He was basically talking about AEW as well. And the point that he made was anything that's on television is competition to the WWE, not just professional wrestling.
Sure.
So any digestible form of entertainment, whether it be Twitch, local channels, whatever, it's competition. Yeah. And they got to do something to keep those eyes. Now, the After the Bell interview made sense because what he said was this. I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but it actually, sometimes you got to make, and he admits himself, he didn't do a lot of good stuff. Like a lot of stuff that he didn't work out, but he still went out there every day and tried, and he made the best of what he got. And this is what the main argument is when it comes to professional wrestling fans. Like, oh my God, the creative is giving them crappy storylines and blah, 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 blah. You can put the blame on creative, but let's really sit down there and talk about why I will never consider anybody in that current WWE right now in the GOAT conversation outside of Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin.
I would put Randy Orton in there.
Randy Orton is a very late bloomer, but yes.
I would put Orton in there.
I could put Charlotte in there, actually.
I would absolutely put Charlotte in there. Absolutely.
And Rhea Ripley is going to be in there as well.
Yes. If Rhea Ripley continues, she has the potential for sure.
Mark my words. Rhea Ripley is going to be the face of WWE.
I hope so. I've been into Rhea Ripley for quite some time. I think she's got a great look. She can go in the ring. I mean, the poise of going out there, WrestleMania, no crowd.
Against Charlotte?
Big spot, first match, night 2 against Charlotte. And Charlotte, I mean, Charlotte's there for a reason. Think about, okay, so I would put Charlotte as a GOAT for absolutely, because as good as Ronda Rousey is, putting her in the main event against Becky Lynch of WrestleMania.
That was the worst thing you could have done.
Would be a giant risk. That would be a giant risk.
Becky's not as talented as everybody gives her credit for. I'm telling you right now, everybody else in that 4 horsewomen outside of Charlotte, I'm not gonna say they're trash, but they're not at Charlotte's level.
No, not even close. Not even close. Bayley is someone. I mean, I love the character work she's been doing lately, but in the ring,
she's always been bad. Bayley
stinks.
Always been bad.
Yes.
Davina Rose has always been trash. Always. Even in Shimmer, complete trash.
Yep.
Like Sasha Banks, Byron Saxton did an interview talking about Sasha being like Mercedes, like she was completely shy and was like withdrawn.
Yeah.
And now you see what she's doing. I'm telling you right now, like, I feel like if Sasha's ego settles down and she slows down a little bit, she'll be pretty good.
I could see, yes, I can believe that, and I've seen her have moments of hope, but they're too few and far between. She has to find that consistency.
Right, and I feel bad, and I also feel bad saying no one on the male side of things. I have to put AJ Styles and the New Day in that conversation as well.
Absolutely, yes.
And the Usos. The
Usos are great. Yes, the Usos need to stay out of trouble, though.
Yes, they do. But like in all things considered, they
cost themselves a good chunk of their prime last year, with the Hillsborough County bullshit line, and they were off television for far too long. And I really thought they were hitting their stride at that point. They have to. They have to do better.
Amazing.
They have to make better decisions.
That heel turn was amazing for them, and it just it changed the look, and it changed it gave them a chance to be like real hood, and it's just like
yeah, absolutely. There are certain things that happen in a career that really can turn things around. Most of like our like my complaints are that they don't let these people be themselves.
But here's the problem with that, right? This kind of goes into the end topic that I wanted, but let's bring it up now anyway.
Sure.
The transition from Heyman to Prichard.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with that is like Prichard is a very good storyteller. I've told you this multiple different times. He's a very good storyteller. He just goes into the well too much. But at the same time, I'm going to give you one example. I'm going to give you one name. Seth Rollins. Do you really want to give Seth Rollins a chance to be himself? As trash as he is?
I don't. You know what, CJ? I don't even know if Seth Rollins has ever really been himself on WWE television
or Ring of Honor, because I went to his last match against Roderick Strong.
Sure.
At the Hammerstein. I tuned the fuck out when he started cutting the promos. I mean, yeah, I popped when he did the attitude adjustment. Okay. But like, I literally just tuned out because he's sitting there talking. I'm like, I'm bored.
Yeah. I mean, okay. But that's him, 10 years ago.
It hasn't gotten much better.
We don't know that. I honestly cannot say, watching a guy cut a promo that somebody else wrote for him, I don't know how you're able to gauge growth on that.
I mean, it is impossible to gauge, but here's the thing. I'm talking about a promo that he did on his own, and it still stunk.
I agree.
You can't get better than that.
Right.
Written?
I've seen people,
I mean, look at Samoa Joe.
Yes, Samoa Joe's always been good, but look at a guy like Rey Mysterio, who was trash early in his career, and now it's like he might be the best promo in the company.
That's true. I mean, take a look at. I'll be honest with you. Take a look at like Dominic Mysterio, who's like, it sounds scripted, but the dude is good.
He's got something. I mean, I've been putting that kid over on Post Raw for months now, and I am a huge fan of what he's doing. The pressure on that kid is got to be immense, and every time he goes out there, he's opening eyes and he's performing. And
keep in mind,
really
it's not just Rey Mysterio. It's not just Rey Mysterio that he's representing. It's also Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah,
and a lot of those guys. And Chavo.
He's his biological son. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of them, like all of that lineage, that mixed up lineage and stuff that. Andrew makes a really good point. He was the worst coming out of the Shield. I think Roman Reigns obviously proved himself to be the best charismatically, the best in the ring, the best draw, like everything.
I cannot sign on that Rollins is the worst coming out of the Shield. I actually think that would be Moxley.
Oh, dude, we're gonna talk about Jon Moxley. Oh my God, let's hold off on that one because I'm sorry, I got words on that one.
Yeah. All right, CJ, let's keep driving the conversation forward.
But okay, so let's take a look at what happened. Now, I know I've seen you and Victoria talk about how the stories are not good. right? And,
Oh, yeah.
right. The stories aren't good. These are remnants of Paul Heyman storylines that you have to just erase the stink off of completely. Because here's the thing. Paul Heyman has never been a good storyteller. Prove me wrong.
I think what he did with SmackDown 2003, 2004 kind of disproves that.
But that was also with Stephanie there.
I agree. Yeah, yes. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think he's at like Vince Russo level where it's like, okay, Vince Russo can take credit for some of the stuff in the Attitude Era, but he always had that stopper in Vince to kind of, pull back on the crazy shit like putting Judy Bagwell on a fucking forklift.
Oh, God. Viagra on a pole. Oh, by the way, I don't mind plug, but I'm telling you, you need to go check out Matt Muscle's old WCW review with OSW reviews he did before on WrestleMania weekend. He talks about all that shit in WCW.
Goddamn.
Like what happened, WCW is amazing. I watched the whole thing and I'm like, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
This was bad.
It was all bad. It was all bad. I would say the storyline consistency and the quality control on some of the broadcasts. I mean, we could talk about Paul Heyman, and say that there's a stink of his storylines. I saw what Heyman was trying to do though. Okay, so essentially,
talent, yeah.
Essentially, what he got, SmackDown, Fox is the bigger deal, and Fox is the is on the channel that's in more homes than the USA Network.
That's true.
And they're paying more money for the product.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to put your best foot forward. They put almost every single one of their big young stars on
New Day.
That show. New Day. Usos are there. Miz and John Morrison. You got Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, who was a really hot character at the time. They even put Lesnar on there for a spell. And what did Raw get in return? They got 40-year-old Randy Orton, 48-year-old R-Truth, 50-year-old Big Show, and Seth Rollins, of course.
I'm still on that. That was bad.
And the SmackDown catering crew. That's who they got. The people that were hanging out in catering at the SmackDown tapings. Yes. Andrade. Humberto, I guess I want to say Humberto Carrillo, but he really wasn't there.
But you can't say that Andrade didn't improve on that. Like I'm just saying, and Zelina Vega too. Like Heyman did give them.
He gave them an opportunity, and yes, but that's what Paul Heyman's good at, is taking a young talent and kind of helping them find themselves.
Yes. But writing a story, not so much.
Writing a story, not so much. But he was doing better than he did better than Eric Bischoff did. I mean, if the Rusev, Lana, Lashley thing had time to really breathe,
yes.
Maybe it could have been a little better. I don't know.
Well, think about Bischoff.
But it kind of just got dropped abruptly.
Bischoff's not a writer. Bischoff is a television analyst at best.
I always thought he was extremely miscast in that role. I could not believe that they put him there.
Like Bischoff,
no track record of any type of writing success.
Zero,
other than he stole an idea from Japan in 1996
because of analytics.
Right. He saw what was happening there, and that their ticket sales increased. It's like, oh, we're going to take that idea and do it.
Exactly. He's a TV guy, and that's good.
And that was his one. That was his one contribution, and they could never move on from that because there was no other ideas.
Yeah.
But it's hard, like I give Paul Heyman a pass in a sense because people that, we have to build stars, and it's not going to happen overnight. You can't gauge how someone's doing in just like a week or two of television. That's the problem. He tried to push Humberto Carrillo. He tried to push Cedric Alexander, and look at what Cedric Alexander is doing right now. I think if they continue with this storyline arc that I think that they're going with, where
Prichard will do it,
and he will, because he has more blood equity with Vince McMahon than Paul Heyman did. And Paul Heyman, of course, is someone who notoriously difficult to work with. Look at anything that AJ Styles has said about him very recently. He's still the same. He's still Paul Heyman from 1997, fucking, being a total scumbag, booking people on flights with bereavement fares and stuff like that. That's Paul Heyman.
Yo, the excellence of blank check execution. I'm just saying, like, the thing about it is, you take a look at let's take a look at the Cedric Alexander storyline that we're doing right now. Like I've said it. I said it either on Twitter or on Facebook. Cedric being left out, the arc begins now.
Absolutely.
And you start to really see, and Prichard's writing. Keep in mind, there's a lot of burnout because they're doing, I think in a week, they used to do every 2 weeks, kind of like how TNA used to do their God knows how many hours of tapings a week. They were doing 10 hours, 11, 12 hours of taping for 2 weeks.
Right.
2 days.
And of course that does create burnout, but CJ, like, they are writing for a man that will tear up the damn script before you go out there, and you still have to produce 2 shows. You still need to produce enough content to fill up 2 shows.
I understand that.
I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how Paul Heyman's supposed to be successful. Okay, so let's say that he's not that good of a storyteller. You still have to give him a chance to tell a story.
But wasn't Heyman kicked off before the pandemic?
No,
I think he was, or it was probably like a month in.
It was the first week of June, I believe.
Damn, time flies.
It does. And blends together in this damn pandemic, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this much. Okay, yeah, he was kicked off and nothing really got a chance to really just coalesce.
So I just want to look at the people real quick that he tried to push. He tried to do something with Cedric Alexander and make him into, a personable African American star that's more than just, okay, Apollo, go out there and smile, and because that's all that we think that you can do. Because I'm an old white guy from North Carolina, and I don't understand how to book and properly book an African American superstar. That's
look at the New Day. Look at the New Day. I'm just saying, like, New Day and the Usos.
The New Day are over in spite of this creative process. The New Day are over because they didn't give a shit about the New Day and were like, just go out there and do something. And they got over. It started with the claps.
Yep.
Right? And then it's like, okay, well, let's just do some goofy shit. Can I bring a trombone out there? Yeah, sure. And it's just they built themselves.
You didn't know the interview that Xavier Woods did, basically saying when Vince wanted to turn him heel and he wasn't convinced that Kofi could turn heel, and Xavier Woods put his career on the line to get Kofi over as a heel.
Yep, he should. Yes. So like they got over, like I'm saying, they got over in spite of the creative. They got over because I don't believe that initially they cared about that.
You gotta, and Xavier Woods said it best. You need to be able to go up to Vince McMahon, puff your chest up, and that's the type of shit that he likes.
And he does, yes. I've heard that from a lot of people. Even Jericho has come out and said that. Absolutely, Vince wants somebody to go back at him, but in a way, but that's Vince from 6 years ago. We're talking New Day came up, or in 2015, 5 years ago. I'm sorry, they started getting hot in 2015.
Yeah,
and Vince McMahon.
Even now, he still wants that type of stuff because look at what happened with Kevin Owens.
But you read any kind of interview of people that have been there, even those that are there.
Yeah.
And Vince has built more walls around himself now, where it's like, okay, if you want to go there and puff your chest out, you don't have access to him anymore. That's a problem. That's
he knows
the problem.
He knows he's on his way out, so he got to basically, I feel like he has to remove himself from the situation now and let Triple H start to come in slowly. And it's like
I think so too.
I think that's what's going on right now. It's a transition period. So you got to
that's possible. But the thing with Vince is WWE has not told the story, to their shareholders that somebody else other than Vince can do this job. If there's even a hint of Vince wanting to step down, or remember like 2 years ago there was a lot of talk about possibly selling to Disney or Universal, and the stock price,
which was not gonna fucking happen.
No, it's not gonna happen. On. But it was out there and it was floated. I don't know if it was floated by the Observer or PW Insider, whatever it was that they were listening to offers, and they admit that they're still listening to offers. They always are listening to an offer, but
you have to.
But the thought that Vince wouldn't be doing it made the price drop, just off of a rumor, right? They have to start telling people that we have a contingency plan in the works here. It's not just 74-year-old Vince McMahon that can do this. Yes, Vince. Like they've changed the narrative of history and said that Vince basically created this genre. No, Vince perfected the genre, right?
And Vince was the genius that actually realized that going national was the smartest idea to save this product.
He's the first one to think of it. But he was smart enough to put an infrastructure or build an infrastructure of people that knew what the hell they were doing and work with that. Vince is just the guy who was really smart and is smart enough to do that and humble enough to do that. And everybody else wanted to play by, these preconceived rules, that were kind
of like baseball, getting mad at Tatis.
Yes,
for
exactly.
Hitting that Grand Slam. Like
unwritten rules, right?
Insurance runs, man.
Unwritten rules. It's like especially in today's game of total offense in baseball. No, I don't think there's a lead that can be safe. And
exactly.
I thought that was bullshit. By the way,
I'm sorry. You look at Stanton and Judge just on the Yankees, and you want to sit down and tell me you want to get mad? I mean, look at them. Look at how they hit.
Yeah. Andrew brings up a good point too about even like the storyline with him selling Raw to Trump and like the fucking people. I mean, you worked Wall Street into dropping the stock price. I mean,
oh my God,
because they didn't want to they don't want to believe that anybody else can do it. And that's kind of why I believe part of the reason why we don't have a superstar in wrestling is because they never allow anybody to not be compared to somebody, and it's always like, okay, Shawn Michaels is the barometer of the best performer ever. He's the Babe Ruth. There can never be another Babe Ruth. And it's like, if you never allow anybody else to be in that conversation that's currently active, then they're never going to be in that conversation.
You're right. And the thing about that
they are so reliant on their history and their nostalgia that they are actually preventing their current talent from getting over.
Could I argue the same fact that it is also the fans' fault for that as well? Because,
absolutely. The fans have a lot to do with this as well. No question about it.
You put the narrative around Drew McIntyre, as soon as he got the belt, maybe even a month or two, he's boring. Can you take the belt off him already? This, that, and the third.
Was that?
They
did the same thing to Daniel Bryan.
The same thing to Daniel Bryan. They've done it to Cena. They've done it to Rousey. They've done it to Reigns. They've done it to Rollins. They did it. Well, Dean Ambrose was a fucking afterthought. The entire time, like nobody gave a shit about him. People barely gave a shit about CM Punk. Like it was just like, it's the fans have something to do with it too. They try to be like, oh, nobody could be like Macho Man Randy Savage. I'm like, dude.
Yes, that is true.
I want you to
stop trying to make him into the next one and let him be himself.
And I said it straight up. Here's the thing. John Cena has proven to everybody what it would be like if Randy Savage or The Rock were the top stars in their era.
Okay. How?
Like Cena, promos, like you could put Randy Savage and Cena on promos back to back, and you can sit down there. They 1 and 2 in promos. They're very similar in their promo style. Very similar in their promo style. Cena is also very similar to The Rock in a lot of ways in terms of his visibility.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Like,
yes.
Damn near his sex appeal. Like, and who he reaches, even the kids he reaches and stuff like that. Like, Cena doesn't do all the catchphrases and stuff like that, but
he has enough, though. He has enough.
He has enough there. Like, that's why that feud between Cena and The Rock was so good, despite The Rock really coming up short in the promo department. Because, and yes, Cena smoked him every time. But
he got him with the writing on the hand, which was great.
Oh, that was dirty.
He was shook. He was really shook.
Yeah, The Rock could not handle that at all. And that's the thing. Like, Cena proves you don't have to be a Hulk Hogan or Steve Austin to be the top of this company. You can be a Randy Savage. You can be a Rock. You can be a Kurt Angle. Be goofy as Kurt Angle. Like, to be on the top of this company and still get away with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And he definitely did some goofy stuff.
Oh, I mean, fat jokes with freaking Jerry Lawler against Vicky Guerrero. Like,
that was pretty. I'll never forget that one night. And this showed just how much clout he had, because this was like at the height of their like anal, we have to control every aspect of the show. When the crowd took over that one segment with Vicky and Dolph, and John Cena was out there, and they kept booing every time she tried to talk. They booed her down,
and Cena would just laugh.
And he was egging it on. That was great. That was great. He's also, but sometimes that clout comes back to kind of bite you. And John Cena also encouraged a lot of silliness like beach balls and the fandangoing, and
you and Adam were very vocal about that.
It was like, John, please, like we don't. That's exactly what we don't need, is to encourage this bad behavior from the fans as well.
Yeah, but like on the flip side, they're right. Without the fans, they wouldn't be there. And that's the thing. I mean,
agree.
I get why they do it. I just don't like the idea of it.
But I would posit this. It's like those fans, yes, they're there. They're going to be there whether you acknowledge them or not, or whatever,
And they're only really there once a year.
And they're only there once a year. So. They turn. You watch that crowd and you're like, well, I can never be part of that crowd. If you're watching that on TV, I would be out of my element there. So if you want to be a casual fan, want to go to like some of these events, you might, and you're only watching wrestling casually, you might not want to go to a wrestling event. I think wrestling fans are, this is not going to be a very popular opinion either, but I think wrestling fans are part of the reason why this genre is not more entrenched in pop culture now. I think that,
as it was a couple years ago,
I think that the fans have made it supremely uncool and in a sense very uncomfortable to go to these events sometimes.
I've seen like Star Wars.
Yes, exactly. Super fans ruin everything in a real true sense. Star Trek, Star Wars, professional wrestling, Marvel Universe. Oh my God, yes. Absolutely.
Marvel, Steven Universe, like any type of anime,
DC, everything.
Video games, like that whole console war bullshit. Right. Like that's the problem. It permeates everywhere.
Yeah, I've been to events, and there's a lot of kids at these events. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple people that have a few drinks and they're motherfucking everything and chanting Chris Benoit and just being completely obnoxious. And it's like, okay, this is our one event that we're ever going to. We're never going back to this again. They have done a lot to turn people off from pro wrestling. And
this is an indictment in the fans. And this kind of goes into the next topic, AEW, because it's like it's a fucking indictment on the fans. It is a fucking indictment on wrestlers and promotions who embrace these types of fans, because you'll never fucking grow.
You'll never grow, and you'll never be more than you are right at that moment. In fact, you can only go backwards, because they'll eventually turn on you as well. That's the one positive that WWE has going for it right now, is that they can in these empty arenas, or in this case the Thunderdome now, with a bunch of people on a video board, which looks
Thunderdome.
The Thunderdome is that they can control their narrative, and they can start to try to broaden this this product out to a wider audience without having to worry about their fucking shows being hijacked by some dickheads.
And keep in mind, this is the same thing the NBA's doing, same thing MLS done.
Yes.
AEW
is selling tickets to their events now. They're bringing people back.
That's stupid.
I agree.
That's stupid, and it's in Florida too.
In Florida,
that's stupid.
Now, yes, they are. I don't care how many guidelines you bring about. I am not for reopening schools. I think if we can't even sit in a movie, I think if we can't sit in a movie theater, socially distance, where you actually can socially distance people, and have the airflow going, I don't think you should be allowed in a school. But I definitely don't think that professional wrestling is so important that we need to have people there right at this juncture of time right now. Now, right. I know you really want to talk about the AEW thing.
That goes into it. I'm going to let you do it, man. Yeah. Dumb mistake. One of like 50 million that they've made in this goddamn company.
So what CJ's going to be doing is talking. AEW's made a lot of promises.
Yes, they have.
To their fans at the start of the company.
Yep.
And some of them are promises kept, but some of these promises that were broken are a big deal. And for a company that wants to be, forward looking and inclusive, they've fallen short of the mark. CJ, you want to talk more about that?
All right. So I want to point everybody to the big old press conference they had a couple years back in Jacksonville, when they came out and just talked a big game about the women being treated just like the men and everything. Talk about this big game, inclusion and all this stuff like that. I want to point out two major things when it comes to the women of AEW.
Yes.
I am and I'm going to preface this, I am not counting Japanese talent as people of color in this, because at least the Japanese talent are being featured. From what I remember, the women of color that are in this company, Nyla Rose and Big Swole. I can't really think of anybody else.
Wow.
Yeah. I decided to take a little bit, do a little number working, and take a look at some of the matches. Shouts out the cage match, because they give out the times of these matches. Now, on the first AEW Dynamite, this is back in October of last year, where Riho won I believe Riho won the championship.
She did. Yeah, that was the debut episode. She won the championship over Nyla Rose.
Right. Now, this is a 13-minute match. Okay, you give a 13-minute match for a championship match.
Yeah.
Nyla Rose was not featured for 6 weeks after that. And when she comes back on episode 7, it's a 1.5-minute squash match.
Yeah,
right?
They do that a lot with their talent, though.
Right? Take a look at Riho and Britt Baker versus Bea Priestley and Emi Sakura, 8 minutes, and like almost 9 minutes. Riho versus Britt Baker, 8:20. Britt versus Jamie Hayter, who has not been back with this, has not shown up again, from my understanding, in the first 19 weeks. 8:40. Sheeta versus Shauna got 11 minutes. Emi and Hayter and Riho and Shauna got like 14 minutes. Week 7 is the Nyla squash, which was 1.5 minutes, like I said. Then you have, after the 9-minute matches with some of these talent things, Big Swole, who was on the roster from God knows how long, just only appearing on AEW Dark on YouTube, she didn't show up until the 11th week.
That's a good point.
Awesome Kong only showed up once in a 45-second squash match.
I believe Awesome Kong had to get some kind of surgery, though.
But that's okay. Okay, in that case, that's okay. That's unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
So all things considered, after that 11th week, it was another 6 weeks until we saw Nyla and Big Swole on the same show in the same match, 8 minutes 45 seconds. And this is just the first 19 weeks. And I think there was only 2 weeks out of the week 10 and week 12 where there was multiple women's matches, and at max 2. AEW doesn't feature their women enough.
I definitely don't think they feature their women enough or properly. I mean, like even their champion now, Sheeta.
Yeah.
She's there's weeks where she's just in the crowd. It's like, that's, you have these people. Look what WWE does now. Granted, WWE has
Sandro. Yes, you're right. That was before COVID. That's the thing. This is before COVID. Like, you had the talent, you had the time.
Right. So it's like, look what WWE is doing with, their women. It's like yes, they cycle the same women in and out. It's not like they're building new stars, but they're at least using them in key spots and making them an integral part of the show. Yes. I would say probably the biggest draw to SummerSlam right now is Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville.
Oh my God! And that's just that, and that's
just a
Otis
throwaway
was so big.
program, kind of. Like really, like in AEW that would be a nothing program. Like they might just like WWE's giving them like some meat. There's some story here. They use the women that they have.
Yes, they do.
And granted, they have more television time to do that, but that shouldn't be an excuse.
But even just NXT though,
even
you're
NXT,
seeing 2 or 3 women's matches a night.
Yep, on a 2-hour show. I do agree that AEW needs to do better with their women, and especially, and not just the women, but the people of color in general. Like, look at the male side.
What happened? I haven't seen Scorpio in a hot minute.
Scorpio is basically only on AEW Dark, in squash matches.
And Party. Sugar Dunkerton, like what?
But look at the people that they're featuring. It's like Sonny Kiss gets like one match, against Cody. They used what was the guy, Mark Quinn from Private Party against Cody, and then it's like they get their one match and then they're done. It's like AEW built themselves on diversity or the promise of diversity, and they're falling very short of the mark on that. And I don't see I don't see them building these people up. I don't see them attempting to build these people up, or even trying to sign diverse talents.
I also don't understand. I also do not understand.
It's like why are we bringing in Warhorse when and you could be bringing in and nothing against Warhorse, right? Nothing against that guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. But
what about Kenny King?
Exactly. There's a lot of talent that's floating around out there that could use
Leo Rush.
I would love to see Leo Rush. My God, that guy! Talk about a great and talk about a wonderful story too of a guy who's overcoming mental illness and bettering himself.
That's true. And Sandro is right. Scorpio did have it last week. I just didn't pay attention.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And it's hard to pay attention to AEW. Like, to be honest, like, especially as a person of color that's like not seeing the representation and stuff like that. And then even with that, and even going towards with that, like, now take a look at some of the talents that they are featuring in the main event.
Okay.
And also, like, and my biggest thing, well, before that, I did have something to say about.
Oh, please. I'm sorry. I don't want to throw off your thoughts here. Yeah.
The TNT Championship, which I also have another problem with because it's a bootleg John Cena Open Challenge.
I agree. But it's like the old television title, where it's like it gets defended almost every week.
But why does Cody have it? What the fuck is the point?
Well, that's the thing. Yes. Like what I guess it's like you in order to get people over, you have to have, an established talent, help to get them over. Yes, Cody's established, but I'm actually fine with it. I'm fine with him having matches with people and giving them a little shine. It's the follow up to it afterward. It's like okay, so they bring out what the hell is the guy's name? They did the thumbtacks with I forget. God damn it, I can't remember the guy's name. But he was in NWA. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the name. But
Fatu?
What's that?
Jacob Fatu?
No, not that guy. Well, anyway, let's just say like Mark Quinn or Sonny Kiss or whoever else he's faced. Scorpio Sky. Right. It's all in the follow up, and they have a great match. Okay, great. Never brought up again. Never mentioned. Like, what's the follow up with these people? That's the key. Like you have to take them. Work on the momentum after that.
Let's take a look at the John Cena Open Challenge since I brought that up.
Eddie Kingston, that's who I was thinking of. Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston, yeah. But let's take a look at the John Cena Open Challenge. Let's brought up. Dean Ambrose became WWE champion not too long after that.
He looked great in it. Yep.
Granted, he was an afterthought, especially when it got to John Cena and AJ Styles. I mean, oh boy.
No question about it.
Like that's from that Stone Cold promo on, it was just a mess. But like
Cody Rhodes benefited from that U.S. title match.
Who else? I think Zach didn't.
Neville.
No, Zach. Neville. Ooh, Neville was the King of Cruiserweights program.
Yep.
Like so many people that went up against Cena, even like having Kevin Owens pop up during
Kevin
that.
Owens was put on the map.
Zayn. These guys were put on the map because of that. They followed up.
Right.
And it wasn't even that long after the fact. You see the follow up. Hell, it got to the point where Cena and Kevin Owens had a 2-month-long program.
Yes.
Because of it.
3 pay-per-views.
Yeah, 3 pay-per-views. And one of them was an impromptu one. Like, that's the thing. Like, it just so happened
Seth Rollins.
Yeah, Seth. Yeah. So at the same.
It made Seth Rollins a better champion.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Plus, it did set up the downfall of the Authority, which was actually, again, follow-up.
Yep.
Right? So you're not seeing much in the way of follow-up with a lot of this stuff. I would understand, like, if Kenny Omega had the TNT title, that'd be a different story.
Yeah.
Because we know Kenny Omega can handle stuff. But I feel Kenny Omega is being handled as a joke. You know who I feel is really, like, holding the short end of the stick, even if it's not people of color? Hangman fucking Page. That dude has the charisma to be the fucking Cena, Roman Reigns, Rock, Austin of that company.
He's got something, and I know people get a kick out of the drunk gimmick, but that's not going to get him. That's not going to make you mainstream. That's playing to a small group of fans that would get a kick out of that stuff. It's like we're still booking for the people that watch fucking Spike TV and
or being the elite.
Yeah, or being the elite. Yeah,
like, fuck that YouTube show. No, here's the thing. No one gives a fuck about being the elite. Let's call it down the middle. Right. No one gives a shit. It does not get the numbers that people think it does. And like, you cannot book a television show based on a YouTube thing that nobody watches, that maybe even a fourth of your television audience watches. That is a problem. I
keep a track on my other laptop of like all the stats of ratings, and okay, forget ratings. We don't need to talk about demographics. That's just I mean, it's important, but it's not that important right now.
Right.
Total viewership for both shows, AEW and NXT, because NXT also it can be guilty of playing to that singular crowd.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at a period.
Triple H actually pointed that out, that's what NXT was for anyway.
Right. I'm looking at a period of just 10 weeks where they averaged 1.3, and every week it was 1.3 million viewers. Wow. Okay. They're not – that goes to show you right there, and even now, like in the last 10 weeks or so, they grew to 1.4. They're not growing the amount of people that are watching their shows every week. It's the same people, and it's like, okay, so we managed, essentially what the victory is that we managed to shave off a few people that would have watched wrestling anyway from the other broadcasts and had them watch our broadcast tonight. They're not bringing anybody new into watching these products. Exactly. And at the end of the day, as a television show, and especially one like professional wrestling, where it's it's built on revenue and those demographics, and the networks still care about viewership. I don't care what anybody says. If you're not growing, you're dying. You're going backward.
But here's the problem: AT&T still gave AEW a 3-year deal. Why?
Because
it's better than everything else on TNT. TNT ain't got shit but the NBA.
Yes, I agree. And networks have a hard on for live programming, and
yeah, that's true.
Like that's why. And I think that an unproven product that averages near close to 1 million every week is pretty. That's better than what they were doing in that time slot.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I give them. That's the one thing I have to really reconcile myself with, right?
They're keeping the fans, but they're not bringing new ones in.
And that's the thing. Here's the thing. We talk about Raw and SmackDown losing fans. I mean, here's the thing. Raw and SmackDown were going to lose fans anyway during the summer. And on top of that, with this pandemic, people don't have jobs. People don't have money. People don't have time to watch TV.
I know. I know. Believe me.
You can't sit down there and say it's just the writing. I agree that some of it is the writing.
Oh no. I never said that.
Not you.
Yeah,
I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, the writing sucked. The talent, the WWE, they don't let them be themselves. I mean, take a look at AEW. Look at their world champion right now. This was the same joke of a world champion that got overshadowed by John Cena and AJ Styles.
Yes.
This is the same joke of a champion.
Quite.
That when he was having the program with Seth Rollins, guess who came in to save the day? John Cena. Moxley's not a main eventer. Stop acting like he's one. He's not.
Not even close. And when he's out there,
Jericho's not a main eventer either. He's not.
But Jericho at least has some equity,
that's fine.
His name that people know his name, that's enough.
And that's the thing. A lot of people actually, even my girlfriend has mentioned that, like, she knows who Chris Jericho is, and I'm like, yeah, everybody knows who fucking Chris Jericho is. Like,
but that's the only one that you'll really know.
Yeah.
And I think after Jericho leaves, he'll still be like the only one that they know, because they're not they're not putting people over as good as they think they are. I like some of the storytelling there. I'm not going to shit all over AEW.
There's some good storytelling.
They do some stuff. They do some stuff right, But
I love what they were doing with Hangman Page and that 12 man. I just hate the fact that they had a 12-man tag at the beginning of the show, but I love the storytelling that they did with Hangman Page when he got injured, when he got beat up.
I actually like the way that they structure their cards and stuff like that. I like that they want to start off with action and in your face and just get the set the tone for the evening. I like that a lot. Now, don't get me wrong. I watched that one match that they did with Eddie Kingston, and because I heard about the thumbtacks. I was like, I just want to just kind of see this. So I watched that episode, and then they did the Butcher and the Blade and the Young Bucks and the Falls Count Anywhere match halfway through the show, and then they came to a cool down part, and I've just been hit in the face, boom, 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 for the first hour of the show, hour and 10. Yep. I never finished watching that episode. I kind of turned it off for a little bit, and then I never went back to it because it was almost too much. It's like they almost give too much away every week.
I did the same thing with that 12-man tag. I couldn't finish past it. I mean, listen, man, I'll tell you, man, Brody Lee is not as talented as people put him on to be. I like how athletic he is. Don't let him talk, please. Please stop giving him a mic. It's just a problem that I see where AEW is looking at it from an independent wrestling point of view, and I'm kind of looking at it from you don't want to give the Young Bucks a mic. You really don't want to give Kenny Omega a mic. Cody damn sure shouldn't have a fucking mic.
No.
Brandy shouldn't even be seen on television. But Hangman Page is the one that
I don't think Cody's that bad on the mic.
Dashing Cody Rhodes is still my favorite gimmick, but still.
Absolutely. But I think just to kind of put a bow on this, it's like Brandy Rhodes is their director. What's her executive?
I don't give a shit. She's terrible.
But she's supposed to be the one that's like the social outreach person or whatever,
communications or some shit.
Yeah, something like that. But the best that they can do. Okay, so just getting back to this, the broken promise of diversity and gender inclusivity.
AEW heels. Oh my God, that was such a shit show.
And granted, a lot of people that's signed up for $49 a year or whatever the price was, $50 a year.
Yep.
They said that the first week of activities was quite good, and it's about empowerment and stuff like that. But it's like why can't you just give that? I mean, you're giving everything else away for free. You're giving 12-man tags and Falls Count Anywhere and thumbtack matches all on the same show sometimes,
which you shouldn't be doing. WWE has a really good. I think even NWA champion, the NWA of power has a good idea of you can't give away
the farm every week. Yeah. But I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make an impact and they're trying to get noticed, but they're also doing a lot to keep themselves unnoticed. But I forgot where my train of thought was going there.
But you know what? I'll be honest with you. I know you got to get going because it's a certain time.
Yes, sir.
We can pick you know what? We can always pick this conversation up another time because this is like a lot of this stuff. I really do want to start addressing some of the more behind the scene issues.
We absolutely can. Oh, I remember my final train of thought was it's like, well, instead of like charging people $50 a year to feel empowered, I don't think there's anything more empowering than on a show where you're giving so much shit away for free.
Mm-hmm.
Put a hot women's match on. I'm not talking about hot women like that, okay? I mean like a match that has some meat to it. Something that people can sink their teeth into. A marquee match with two women.
Like if you gave me a match between like Nyla Rose and somebody else, or like maybe if Adam Cole's wife wasn't injured, like you give me a match like that and made me pay attention, then yes. It's the same thing like putting Charlotte on NXT. Get people to pay attention to NXT, right?
Well, in theory, it was supposed to.
I mean, it popped more numbers. It popped the show in relation to what it did.
I agree, or what it would have done. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all that being said, I mean, here's the thing: we're going into SummerSlam. We know what the hottest program is right now, and I'm gonna make a bold prediction: John Cena versus Randy Orton WWE Championship, either at Survivor Series or WrestleMania 37.
Okay, I'll sign up for that all day long.
Yep. I mean, we're gonna end that. We're gonna have to put the bow on the Randy Orton storyline somehow, and the only plausible way to do it is John Cena.
That's the only way you can get me to watch Orton and Cena again is to kind of put that kind of storyline on it, because we've seen that a lot, but that would be pretty damn good.
Yep.
CJ, I thank you for doing this show with me. I think this was a great conversation. I really friggin' enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoyed this too as you watched it. If you enjoyed this, please like the video. If you're new to this channel, subscribe to this channel. We're so close to 1,000. Please do it. And join us for more. We got more stuff coming up. Doug Lackey tomorrow, drinking up and making predictions where he's going to have to drink probably next Friday as well. I can't wait.
Nah, he's probably going to be drinking himself drunk because that milk carton got demolished.
It sure did. I mean, like, even bringing back Raquel Gonzalez last night, I shed a tear for Doug. I was like, oh man, geez, like there's nobody safe anymore. Damn wrong.
I'm waiting for Friday. I'm waiting to see what happens in the Thunderdome.
Me too.
Oh man.
But thanks for joining us tonight. Tons more coverage coming up. We have a show every day on this channel, up to Monday.
You're gonna have to let me cover for you after Payback, because I know you're gonna be tired.
Please do. CJ, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us as well out there. And I love that Hey Arnold shirt in the background, by the way. That's good.
Oh, thank you.
Good stuff. I love that show. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.